objective of today's class is to teach you a different way of doing things in an active shooter situation. So if we get a call right now, we do a scenario. What's the first thing we do? Be as I say it, right? So if you got somebody in there going, what do we do? We stage outside the area. So here's the issue with that. The Columbine, which actually I've already forgotten to do it was a long time ago, one of the first major active school shooters, had people that survived well beyond the golden hour that bled to death because they were still trying to clear the school and secure the scene. It takes hours. Someone's bleeding to death and being shot. They don't have hours. So the stories of horrific things of people lying there looking at pictures of their kids bleeding to death while they're trying to take each building, secure each room piece by piece. So there has to be a better way. So I'm going to give you some examples of how badly this was. Why is there no sound? That's why.
And then he came into the library and shot everybody around me. Then put a gun to my head and said that if we all wanted to die and he was going to kill us.
We also have to take this moment once again to hammer home to all the children of America that violence is wrong.
Nothing like this has ever happened in American history. For this kind of scenario, there is no protocol.
There wasn't.
And then he came into the library and shot everybody around me. Then put a gun to my head and said that if we all wanted to die.
Now, what we've done is they've come with a system, started with the military, with wars. Every time there is a war or battle, it's awful, but something good comes out of everything bad. One of the few good things that comes out of war is we learn new and better ways of taking care of severely injured or mortally injured people and how to get them out. In a perfect world, law enforcement will go in, they will secure the scene and take out the shooter as quickly as possible. Last year, we had an incident of that. This is very graphic. This is about as best as the situation can be. So here's the deal. It's a car driving through a school parking lot. Nothing you would be suspicious of that. Now, when they come up and blow out the school windows, doors, with an automatic. So sadly, a lot of people died in this shooting, but also a lot of people lived because they followed the protocols in place. School did a full lockdown. The unfortunate few people that didn't get inside before she got to them didn't get killed. She's having trouble finding someone to shoot. Yes, this is real. This just happened last year.
Where is this?
National Tennessee.
There's so many of them.
This one probably has the most video that was released, and probably of a horrible worst case scenario, the least bad answer for a solution.
There's none.
No, they did good.
So as soon as those doors got shot.
Yeah, they hit the alarm. They had a code. It's a private school. They had a code for this situation. Teachers locked everyone down. Got the call. More guys first one on scene. They have an active shooter kit in the patrol cars.
Okay.
So you got a school of hundreds of kids, and you've already accounted for all but 2. That's hard to do better than that. Who?
Yeah.
They were upstairs.
Hey. Give me 3. Let's get 3.
They're doing is they're going to three officer formation going in.
Down there and then upstairs.
Let's go. I need 3 more. Let's go.
That is the alarm right there. Their active shooter to go into place.
On me. Bathroom, small bathroom. Clear. Let's go. Door, with me. What are you doing? Next.
Other thing about this that I can't make a strong enough point on, and it's started to become a problem last week in this class, is you do in emergency situations as you practice. These guys have practiced this and practiced this and practiced this. That's why they were flawless. If you screw around while you're practicing, you will be screwed up on scene. You have to practice like you're doing it for real. You have to do that so it's in your head perfectly. And that's why it's so critically important that when we're doing skills that we practice it exactly how it should be. And this is the best example I've ever seen. These guys nailed this. Horrible situation, but they nailed it.
Yes. Okay, I got it. Let's go. Cover left. Take this. No, that's off. Take this door. Take this door.
It's gonna be your EMS hasn't even arrived us.
Upstairs. Something's upstairs.
Parachute.
Personnel PBR.
She's done.
Go, go. Take up second floor. Locked door. Where did they go in? First floor, first floor, first floor. Hold there, y'all. Somebody hold there. Hit that door. Rifle first. Rifle first. Blue, go. Go, 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 go. Go. Move. Move. I'm with you. Go right. Shut. Right here, right here, right here. It's locked. Go. Hit that stairs. Hit the stairs. Go. Go stairs. Go stairs. Go. Go, 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 keep push. Go. Shots fired. Shots fired. Shots fired. Move. Right, right, right. Push an LPBO. Push an LPBO. Go right. Move, move. Watch out, watch out. Move. Stop moving! Stop moving! Watch left, watch left. Suspect down, suspect down. All right, hold the air.
There you go. It's last one is actually the last two. It's the largest one that's ever happened. Believe it or not, Emily comes to Proctor once in a while. She's like down in nursing school. She was actually the first ambulance in on this. They're actually just the same thing. And when these unfold, generally you don't know. It's not dispatch does. Mass shooting, active shooter. It starts off because no one knows what's going on. The first 911's come in. Like for this one, she was already at University Hospital. They got dispatched to 2 gunshot victims in Hooters. Okay, that's not that uncommon in Las Vegas. So they're responding to Hooters. They told them to stage at Excalibur. They staged at Excalibur, and then hundreds of patrol cars started going by going Mandalay Bay. Because what happened was the first people that got out that got shot ran across the street to Hooters. So Hooters was 2 shot people walking. What do? You call 911. I got 2 gunshot victims. So I was coming back from San Francisco. It was listed on the scanner. Well, they thought they had active shooters inside every hotel, Tropicana. They thought they had them in Luxor, Monte Carlo, Excalibur, multiple different stores had people, gunshot victims bleeding inside the casinos and people with automatics inside each one of the casinos. So they thought this was a complete terrorist attack because that's what the 911s were coming in. When it was all said and done, at the end of it, what it turned out was casinos are extremely well fortified, extremely well. They have their own private security that's armed to the teeth. So what happened was, it was like throwing a rock in a pond. As the victims and the people ran from Mandalay Bay, they went into all the other casinos and hotels. Well, as soon as people that are shot came in, the walls opened up and the private security came out. Then you've got about 10,000, 20,000 drunk people inside casinos that are seeing gunshot victims and guys running down the hallways with guns. They're calling 911. Turns out there was only actually 1 active shooter. However, he was the largest so far in U.S. history. It's well planned. Yeah. And there's still a lot of things that are unanswered and not explained on this too. And want to hear something really weird? The police chief who left after this happened, is the police chief in Lahaina, Hawaii. Oh. What are the chances of that? Sitting, Emily said, so they're staged Excalibur, and they're not going to go to see because no one knows what's going on yet. And as all the patrol cars are going by, the crowd starts dragging bodies up to the ambulances into the staging area. So I said at that point, what are you going to do? You're going to tell them no? I mean, you start throwing bodies in the ambulances, started heading for the hospitals. You drop them off, you turn around, you go right back to the staging area. There's more bodies being drugged down the street.
It's fireworks. It's fireworks. Stop. Fireworks. Stop.
I really don't see anybody actually in.
This is the worst one that we've ever had.
Most people have no clue that in 2023, the best.
Hamas sent 5,000 rockets into civilian neighborhoods, killed over 1,000 Israeli citizens.
Yeah, they took a bunch of hostages.
And they have an estimated 500 hostages inside the tunnels, many of which are American. And the Israeli government has advised all the citizens of Gaza to evacuate the city because they're going to level the entire Gaza Strip.
Wanted it all along anyway, so here we are.
Can't be doing that. Can't be doing 5,000 rockets.
It's just never ending over there.
Yep. So.
That's just funny.
Yeah. All right. What can I have another one? Where did it go? I have one more I want to show you guys before we got started.
At about 9:40, Jason Aldean had gone on stage, and at that time I was standing stage right behind the barricade. And
I think they had 5 ambulances on at that stand.
It sounded like power lines that were just hitting each other. And that noise repeated itself, but it almost intensified. It was longer, it was a little bit louder. At that time, Metro had drawn their weapons, and I was behind a short wall. I don't know what my next thought was, but it was I need to get back inside the venue. And so I ran into gate 2A. At that point, I dived behind a bar, landing on top of what I believe were all bartenders, but I'm sure it was some guests as well trying to escape the noise. And laid there for a minute, immediately turned my radio on to one of our dispatch channels and had advised our dispatch center that shots were being fired with multiple patients, and I needed them to send ambulances now. To be caught in the fire and watch it happen, it's first time, hopefully the last time I'll ever see that take place.
My phone rang. I looked over, it was Caitlin. I expected she was calling to say goodnight. She said, "Daddy, they're shooting at me." I didn't get it at first. You know, that's a big statement to make for somebody to get when they're half asleep. She said, "They're shooting and there's people that dead or shot all around me." So I jumped up, told my wife what was going on, and put some clothes on and started running outside. Immediately got on my radio. I started telling dispatch what I wanted to happen. I established a different communications channel just for the event. I sent out a text message to all employees to come in at the event and getting those people that needed to be out and transported as quick as possible. There were people running out of the venue covered in blood, and it was very hard to tell which ones were the patients versus which ones were the people helping them. It was chaotic. One point when I first got there, a pickup truck, it came up and it had multiple patients in the back of it. He said, "What do I do?" So we took care of that. It was people helping people, and then we helped those people. Okay, we're gonna do this. Just like I told Glenn, we got this. We're gonna do it. One patient at a time, maybe 2, maybe 5, but we're gonna do this and we're gonna get it done. You know what? If a plane crashes, you go in there and you know what to expect. If there's a terrorist bombing and it blows something up, you know what to expect. This one, I didn't know what to expect. And And when I got there and saw what I did, this was more than just people were shot. This was a lot of people were shot. I was, and I still am, very angry. I don't know how something so evil could happen to so many people. I don't know what could happen in a person's head to make them that evil. I don't. That's my biggest thing processing this. I'm just trying to understand how and why. And I may never know. But that's the hardest part, never knowing, right? It's the hardest part.
All right, so no possible way to make anything good about that. Impossible. Absolutely impossible. So what do we do in EMS to come up with the least bad answer? So test. What is the least bad answer? There's no good answer to this. So the only way to come up with the least bad answer is who evacuates people that have been shot, gets them surgery the fastest. Who is that? That's the United States military. So the United States military form a plan. Of course, you can't do the same things in civilian care that you do in the military. Not the same capabilities, not the same operations, nothing close to that. But you can look at the priorities, how it's done, and then adapt it to a civilian style. So what it comes down to is there are three things that people die for. So you have preventable deaths and you have unpreventable deaths. Unpreventable deaths, nobody can do anything about. There's literally nothing that can be done. That's a bullet through the brain, brain's blown off. People with eviscerated heart, lung, things like that. Nothing you can do. So you got to go to your next thing, preventable deaths. What deaths can be prevented and how do you prevent them? So what they did was they went through literally thousands of military patients that had been shot in over 20 years of war, at least. And what we found out was there's three things, preventable deaths, that weren't being addressed, that they could be addressed and save lives. That's what the military started doing. The first one is uncontrolled bleeding. That's why we changed from a 7-step process for controlling hemorrhage to a 2-step process. Because people bleed to death very quickly. So you have to stop hemorrhage. You have to stop the bleeding. Doesn't matter what's going on. Stop the bleeding as fast as possible. The second thing is unmanaged airway. Third thing is tension pneumothorax. So as EMTs, there's very little you can do at the airways. You guys can clear it, suction it, ventilate, stuff like that. And there's nothing you can do at tension pneumothorax outside of recognizing it and getting them to someone that can decompress the chest. So what they found out, what they do now is, and the other two is if you stay there in an active shooter situation while shots are still being fired, you're likely going to be shot. So what do? So the crux of this whole thing that we're going over is you go in with officers, you're going to return fire, the best defense is offense, shooting back at the shooter. And you get there, what you do is the patient's bleeding, you stop the bleeding, you tourniquet, throw them on a drag device or however you got to do it. You don't manage their airway, you don't worry about the tension, you stop the bleeding, and you get them out of the hot zone. Drag them with the officers and get the patient out. Then in a warm zone, what we call a primary collection area, patient collection area, you go into the hot zone, that warm zone, then you can start managing the airway, find someone to decompress the chest, then get to a secondary patient collection point where you have transport set up in a safe area. Get surgery. That's the cliff notes, this whole thing. Now we're going to go over it. Here's some actual helmet camp video of the guys that actually came up with this and what they do and how they do it. This is in, I believe, Afghanistan.
Where at, John? Where at? Turn around. Hey, down there. Roll over, roll over. Hey. Hey. fucking security out. Zulu's head, high chest wound. Hey, put a hand right there. Hey, put a hand right here. Now. Not too bad, Chuck. Not too bad. Does it come out the front? How's your breathing? Can you walk? Alpha, Delta. Hey, I need people at my position right now. Zulu is down. He is urgent. It's coming, Chuck. I need you to walk, brother, all right? Yep. Hey, as soon as I hit you with this, we're going to move, Chuck, all right? Stand by, all right? Chuck, morphine's in roll up and in the front. All right, not out. Not out. Hey, we got to move, boy. What's up? Negative, Zulu. I see nothing. All right. Hey, can you get up, Chuck? All right, man. We need to move, boss. Got to get you back. Hey, commandos, we got to back. Go. Yep, get him up. Let's go. Tell them to start getting their guys back right now. Chuck, you with me? Okay. Alpha, Delta. Roger. Zulu has a fucking in, negative out on his back, right side, high above the shoulder. Morphine on board. Chest seal completed. We're getting ready to try to move back your direction.
That is the other thing. Don't have to burn the chest. It's an open chest seal.
Let's go, Zulu. We're moving, boys. Hey, we're moving. Hey, tell them we gotta move back and then we're coming back. Here's my gun. Here's my gun. Yeah. Hold up. Teeth pages. Yeah, here you go. Here's your gun. Go, we gotta move. Hey, we need fire in the alley. Tell them we're gonna come back. Hey, start putting fire down that alley. Hurry up, he's shot. Hey, we're all at my position. We are getting ready to move back to yours. How come? We are moving back to your position. How come? Come on, go. Come on, I need you. You go, buddy. Are we good? Bring it back. No, I got him right here. Let's go. Yeah, come check. Let's go. Alpha, we're back in. Stuck over here. Let's get out of the room. Get into a room. Get into a room. Get a room.
It was also Afghanistan. Here's the other two. If you gotta evacuate, you don't have ambulances. Use patrol cars, use pickup trucks, whatever you gotta do to get them out of the hot zone. This is the case right here. Said these medics are working with what they have. They're calling for medevacs, they're calling for ambulances, but it's gonna be a while and they're still taking fire. This one's got multiple victims.
Grab a piece of Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Come on. Come on. Oh, okay. I need a medic bed. Jamat, bro! Jamat, bro! Jamat, bro! Massive head trauma. Look at his head. He's breathing. He was talking a second ago. Kaka. Kaka. I think he's done, man. I think he's done. Kaka. Can you wrap his head? Want to wrap his head, Matthew? Yes. Careful, be careful. He needs an ambulance, quick. See? Are there any? You got him? Yes, sir.
Damn, he's just a head casualty, okay? Check for bleeding. He's pretty sure he's
Okay. Stay still. Lay down. Lay down. Lay down. Basha. Okay. No hush. mine. Yeah, take it off. I'm not seeing anything. Anna? There she?
I think he got shot in the belly button, launched by his kidney.
I don't know what it is. Stay here. Okay, we got something here. I don't know. What that is, man. Right here. I don't know what it is. It hurts a lot. I don't know, man. Just on him, Kaka. Just on him. Okay, stay here. You watch him? I don't know what it is, Dave. Look, he's got a lot of pain here. I see this here. Don't give him a lot. I know. Is he breathing?
I need fluids. I need fluids.
Yeah.
Second bag. Can't find the wearing. Get him naked completely. Are you free?
No, I'm looking for fluids. It's RPG. It's RPG. Sayada, we need ambulance. Sayada. There's something. Okay. Is he breathing? Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Nasal airway.
Yeah. NPA. This one?
And water or something.
Oliver.
Give me a glove. All right, I'm gonna needle beat this guy. He's not gonna make it.
Okay. Kaka. Bosha. Zorbasha, Kaka. Kaka, relax. It's okay. Breathe, Kaka. Open your mouth. Bakawa mouth. Basha, Kaka. Basha, it's okay. Zorbasha. We need whatever it's got. Yeah. I thought I was going to get VBID, man. I know, and I thought I was right there. Are you okay? Kaka. Okay, come on. It's okay.
Move this box. Move this fucking box.
Basha Brown. Zor Basha Brown. Zor Basha.
Watch your head.
Sorry, Basha. ما مشكلة ما مشكلة. مو مشكلة. We need someone to hold. Can we tie? You must hold this. Hey, we got room for one patient on a technical here.
Alrighty. So there's your survival rates. Got it up to over 90%. Used to be 1 in 5 in World War II. If they got hit, they're dead. Vietnam, that greatly improved. The time of the Gulf Wars, it significantly improved. And it's because of this system. So it's what they're doing better. This is what we're learning about today: tactical combat casualty care. This is everything. These are all the surgeons who put it together and figured it all out. The objective is to explain the difference between military and civilian, describe the key factors influencing combat care, understand how we do it, and describe the phases of it. 9 out of every 10 people die before they get to a medical treatment facility and get surgery. In an active shooter situation, the fate of the patient relies on the first responders, the first people to get there to care for them, which in this case is going to be you. EMTs, paramedics in our case, what you do and how you do it is going to make the difference. What if a preventable death dies or if a preventable death makes it? So, again, you can't take the military combat trauma thing that you just watched and apply that to civilian, because not everybody's armed with automatic weapons and exchanging gunfire. It's just not realistic, and it's not what you do. But what you can do is you can take the values and the priorities of what you know saves lives and then apply them to the practicality of civilian work. Does that make sense? So, evacuation time is a lot longer. I said it too. In civilian settings, we should, those poor guys in Afghanistan lost video. I mean, getting that person to someone to a surgeon is going to take time. The back of a pickup truck with no supplies, limited supplies. You know, once we get to a secondary collection point, give this person an advanced life support unit in America, there's a lot that can be done. Those guys, you could, oh man. So, civilian trauma, 70% of it's blunt, only 21.5% is penetrating. And I have no idea what they're talking about 9.5%, other because there is nothing that says blunt penetrating. Maybe. So you break it down to non-survivable or non-preventable and preventable deaths. There's your 3 things circled in red, or what are preventable. 9% bleeding to death, 5% tension pneumothorax, and 1% was airway not properly managed. Rest of those, 25% uncorrectable trauma. 31% killed instantly. 12% died of sepsis. Then, of course, 7% were just blown up. So, what do? You focus on the three things. One, stop bleeding. Two, the lungs collapsed, get the lung inflated. Three, manage the airway. This seems oversimplistic, but believe me, when you try to apply it in an active shooter situation, it's hard. Largest active shooter drill in California was done 9 years ago, called systems. No one's done a larger scale since. Over 80 students involved, multiple buildings. I can't find the video. I have it on disc. Love to show it to you guys. First time we here got trained in what you saw in Dallas, the three officers. And that's what they did. Was the law enforcement already trained it before you. That's what it's. That was when we first got to go in, sending one person in with a drag device and a tourniquet. They went in and started in Cloud Hall. Shooter went through. Didn't tell the kids do their active shooter drill, but they didn't tell them how. The students were just to go out there every day and stuff, then react as you would react. And they sent in a CHP officer from Reddick that's dressed as a student with an automatic with blanks, and he started opening fire. And we have it all on video, what the kids did. Then they had a couple of explosive devices set up outside of the student center. So when it flushed off the back door, then the explosive devices started coming out. Kids, I have two of my own kids were the students. I have never seen them run so fast in their entire lives. They knew it was fake. It's like, wow, I didn't know they were that agile and fast. Never were that way in sports. But anyway, what the point to that was, before I got off on that, was this sounds oversimplistic in an active shooter situation. Going in, getting that done, getting them out, and coordinating all of it at the same time with lots of people, lots of different agencies is not easy. You've already seen that, so I'm not going to waste your time. Tension pneumothorax. You guys already have gone over this pretty well. You should know what that is. That's when air gets trapped inside the thoracic cavity, it puts pressure on the lung, which then collapses the lung, which then starts collapsing the vena cava and your pulmonary vessels in your heart. You will die from it. It does not get really. Airway trauma. He's alert. I don't know. It's the same thing. Once you get them out, you still got to be able to get them into surgery, preferably within 1 hour of the incident. Still applies. People can only survive so long with compensated shock. They start decompensating. That's a hip. I think that's a left hip. Hard to tell. For people that I know that have been there, it's some of the most horrific weather conditions you can possibly imagine. Oh, I'm sure. They ski in the Middle East?
They do Kush Mountains. They do, yeah.
Okay.
It's the Middle East. It's more.
That's more India, Asia.
More Asia. So going to Pakistan.
Ski. I had no idea.
Yeah. Pakistan has some really great backcountry skiing.
Wow. Will that women do? Females? No.
You don't want to be a female and go into those countries. You get molested.
Men only ski resorts. Unbelievable. All right. So again, it seems oversimplistic. All I got to do is stop the bleeding, make sure they're done, attention will manage their airway. Here's the issues. There's people shooting at you. Darkness, like what happened in Vegas. It's nighttime. Extreme environments. You have no idea what the environment's going to be, mountain, desert. Limited medical equipment. Same thing, you're only going to bring in with you a tourniquet and a drag device. Possibly, depending on where it's at, prolonged extrication time. Making sure everyone is on the same page of what you're trying to do and where you're trying to go. And making sure it flows smoothly. Very, very difficult. It's a very tall order. Is that even here, which everyone, especially in South Siskiyou County, works together real well. In law enforcement, fire, and ambulance. It's a pretty tight group. But even here, trying to coordinate that with multiple fire agencies, ambulance, multiple law enforcement, in a fake scenario, was difficult at best. In a real one, all right. So again, this came from Combat Medical, trying to take it into the standard of care for non-tactical people. Tactical elements that are not considered. A lot of law enforcement agencies are trying to put together tactical EMS teams. Here in Siskiyou County, the Sheriff's Department, they have one paramedic. He retired. There's 2 people from this class that are now forming the Siskiyou County Sheriff's Department tactical EMS team. But they're putting it together and trying to make it work right now. All right. Difficult to devise and implement. The other thing too is it's really hard to be efficient at it because it doesn't happen every day. Sadly enough, the actually I keep out of the U.S. military because they are some of the best. There is actually one military that's actually better at this than the U.S. military, and it's the Israeli military. It helps with IDF. They are supposedly the best from what I've been told they have. Well, it never stops. I mean, they get periods of breaks, but then they do it. There's people that do it. That's what they do. Other issues, nobody has all the tools and skills necessary to handle this incident by themselves or like one agency. That's the problem. Because you have law enforcement, tactical agencies, you've got EMS and transport agencies, you have fire, first responder agencies. They all have different skill sets. So back to the thing in chapter 10 of groups is trying to put together a well-trained group that can work seamlessly together under fire and under stress. It's a tall order. It's doable if everyone's focused on the same mission. Any questions?
Like normally here in Siskiyou County, we have wildfire, lots of fire departments that do that. What about doctors, hospitals?
Hospitals, it's a crapshoot. Just depends on who's on that day and how much staffing they have. Since COVID, COVID has decimated between the Affordable Care Act and COVID. In the last 20 years, they have decimated our medical system. Literally decimated. It's nowhere near the level it used to be. Affordable Care Act, it's hard to find surgeons anymore, especially hard to find vascular surgeons. Mount Shasta had 4 vascular surgeons. Now there's none in this county, there's only 2 of them. All over it, 2. It just wiped out. Then COVID came in, they started mandating things that people didn't want to do, so people just left the industry. So now if you're having a heart attack, you may end up having to ship to Sacramento just for heart surgery because there's nobody available to take care of it. So it's any given day, it could be good, it could be really bad, just depends on what day it happens. Who decides to come to work? That's, yeah, you know as well as that, you worked right through it. It's bad. It still is a shit show. I mean, we still don't have the staffing that we should have. What's that? Oh, it's hard. And saying like, I talk about my thoughts for the day before each presentation, but one of the big things I always try to impress on people is
It's not one big thing that happens like COVID or the Affordable Care Act or HIPAA. It's not one big thing that happens. It's a series of small things that don't get addressed that come together at the same time. And that's when you have a disaster. And that's what our medical field is right now. It's a disaster. From all these small things combined together. That's why we're in the problems we have right now. So the old strap and buckle tourniquet should never be used. If you don't have anything else, that's all you got. For God's sakes, use it. But if at all possible, combat action tourniquets is the standard. So in Vietnam, 2,500 people died that could have survived if they had combat action tourniquets, the training, and the infrastructure to make it work. 2,500. And that's the other big problem, which also still happens in emergency response. You hand out the tool to the people, don't train them how to use it, and then wonder why the tool doesn't work. And then blame the tool. Yeah. Tools are easy. They can't stand up for themselves. It's much better to always keep incompetent people and get rid of good tools. Much more easier on administrative standpoint. Any questions? So what's changing the outcomes? Stopping the bleeding. Getting the air moving. Think about it. What this is, it's ABC. Stopping the bleeding, making sure the airway is going, and making sure they can breathe adequately. You can't breathe adequately if you have tension pneumothorax. You can't breathe at all if you don't have an airway. And if there's no blood in your body, it doesn't matter if you have airway breathing because there's nothing to carry the oxygen to the cells. All common sense when you think about it.
The acronym that T is TCCC. Massive hemorrhage, airway respiration, circulation, etc.
Go. There you go. And in this case, though, all you're going to do when you get to the patient is stop the bleeding and get them out of the hot zone. You have a hot zone, a warm zone, and a cold zone. You're going in under tactical fire to the hot zone. You're just going to stop the bleeding and then get them out of there. Nothing else matters. Get to the warm zone, then you can address the airway, address the airway and the breathing, and get them to the cold zone to get them transported to a surgical facility, to a certified trauma facility. Any questions? Like the bottom there, the packed red cells and helicopters, so that's all out in the cold zone. You're not going to do battlefield antibiotics in the field. It's just not going to happen. There you go. Over half those people that died could have survived if they had had proper pre-hospital people, the proper training and proper tools. So this is all right. So again, this is put together with lots and lots of research. And it's actually saving lives, as was proven in the previous slides. We're down to over a 90% survivability rate. No one's had that survivability rate in history. Your three objectives: treat the casualty, stop other people from becoming casualties, and get them out. Your mission as EMS is going to be getting the people out of there and stopping them from dying. Originally, this was special ops, but now we are bringing it to the States, just like how EMS started after Vietnam, is now we're facing those challenges here inside of our borders instead of outside of our borders. Any questions? Swear to God, we already did that. We're going backwards. So tourniquets, aggressive needle thoracostomy, fix the airway, get into a trauma facility.
Any questions? PHTLS, what we teach here, pre-hospital trauma life support, stop the bleeding, make sure they have a good ventilation, good airway. Thermal lozenges, great idea, not practical for what we're doing. Hypothermia prevention, that's another one inside the warm zone. If people lose a lot of blood or they're opened up skin, they're going to lose heat fast. Any questions? So you notice usually when I'm here and I'm on duty, I look like a total geek. Got the big vest on with multiple tourniquets. That's because if someone's bleeding to death, that's not real time to run back to the ambulance to go find a tourniquet. So I keep them on my body at all times. Have I ever used them? No. Times that I would have used them, law enforcement has been there first. They've all usually law enforcement has at least two. Modern law enforcement usually has two tourniquets on themselves. They've usually tourniqueted someone by the time I can even get in there. The only multiple shooter victim that I've ever been on here, Mount Shasta, they were all torso shots, so there's nothing to tourniquet. So, any questions? Message. I know, it's like the longest we've gone. All right. Timing's everything. Again, be the best that you can be. Getting in, stopping the bleeding, getting out. What's important, doing the right procedure at the wrong time. Doing a good procedure at the wrong time will get the patient killed and likely other people killed. Does that make sense? You're stopping to do stuff besides controlling bleeding while you're taking gunfire. The longer you're there, the greater the chance the bullet's going to find you. Yes.
I have a question from the last slide. What was the infusion?
Interosseous infusion. Yeah, that's for incompetent paramedics that can't start IVs. What they do is they actually put it into, they take your tibial plateau. You feel the tibial tuberosus, a little bump to the side of your knee. If you go medially, you'll find a real flat spot right there. So what they do is they take a drill or a spring-loaded needle. They drill into or fire to inject it directly into the bone marrow, and then put IV fluids in that. So if you can't find the vein, actually start an IV. And in fact, in World War II, when they first started training corpsmen to get vascular access, they knew the corpsmen weren't going to be competent enough to start IVs, especially in the field. And back then, you didn't have plastic catheters. You had to leave the actual physical needle in the vein. So what they did was they came up with a manual corkscrew version of interosseous. That's what they do is they go to the tibial plateau. They corkscrew it in until they popped into the marrow, and then pulled the needle out and ran IV fluids directly into the marrow. Now, huh?
Is that when you were training? Is that what you're doing?
Yeah. Yeah, we were teaching the new paramedic. Yeah. I've only had to do 3 of those in my entire career.
The corkscrew ones or just those injected?
What's that?
The corkscrew
ones?
Oh,
no, I've never done the corkscrew one. We've got modern, we use the same ones the military uses now. It's a spring loaded. So you just hold it on the tibial plateau, you turn the safety off, and you press down, and it spring loads and injects the needle straight into the marrow. Fires it straight in.
Better than the drill.
Much better than the drill, and much faster and less parts. So you can deploy it in literally less than 30 seconds, whereas in the drill, you can't even get out of the package, find the needle, hook the needle up, and all that stuff in less than 30 seconds. Any questions? All right. Again, you got to do the right thing at the right time. There's lots of things that are right answers and good answers, and there's a lot of those things will get you killed. You got to do the right thing at the right time.
So there's 3 phases of this. 3 phases. First phase is getting the person out. And of course, always the best defense is a good offense. If you can eliminate the threat, like the Nashville video is so good because the threat was eliminated before the first ambulance or first iron fire got to scene. It's done. Scene secure. If you can eliminate the threat, for God's sakes, eliminate the threat. So care under fire, tactical care of the field, and getting them out. No, that's not. Huh? At 15, it's not kind of false. Yeah, they come through every once in a while.
It's like a hell of an air ambulance.
F-15?
Yeah.
I don't think there's any room to put a patient in. See, I'm old enough that when I was in grade school, King's Airfield, they used to practice almost daily with the F-4 Phantoms during Vietnam. And they would come literally right over the school. And the windows would shake and we'd get the sonic booms. And as kids, it didn't even, after the first 50 sonic booms during class, doesn't phase you. Now, like, nobody even knows what a sonic boom is. They just don't even hear it anymore. Very few.
Also, practice, you have lots of educational system, higher thought, and the scientific.
And your fine motor stuff too.
Yeah, your fine motor skills are gone. You revert back to what?
Muscle, motor.
Exactly. Discovered this.
Yeah, and in a perfect world, if I've done my job correctly, when you guys run into that situation, you won't even think about what you're doing. You will just do it. That's the whole goal of this class. You shouldn't have to think about it. You should be able to see and do. Any questions? So again, if there's still a threat, the current protocol is you go in with 3 officers, preferably put a ballistic vest and a helmet on the EMT. Go in, under fire, 3 officers shoot back to try to protect you. Get to the victim, stop the bleeding, drag them out of there. So you need to have a primary collection point and then a secondary collection point. Critically important. Everybody involved has to know where the primary and secondary collection points are. Because you're having teams, everyone's got to know where those patients are going. And once they get stabilized there, then you got to get them to a secondary collection point where they can be transported safely. If you don't want to be bringing in ambulances and helicopters anywhere close to the raging gun. It's like, for instance, I'll give you an example. If you were to have a shooting here at COS, which is very possible, you've got multiple primary collection points. You've got the football field, you've got the baseball field. You have the one right out here where we were doing auto education a couple weeks ago. You have Sullivan's, what they call Bel Air Park. Or you can do things like you could have the primary collection point be in the parking lot here, and the secondary collection point being the south end or the east end of Bel Air Park or the brewery parking lot, where you can get ambulances and helicopters in and out safely. Or sometimes your secondary collection point could be as far away as Weed Elementary or Lotus Field. Because you can land helicopters there safely and just dedicate one ambulance to moving people to the primary and secondary collection. You've got lots of options, but everybody's got to decide where the primary point is and where the secondary point is, that everyone has to know it. When you're dealing with 15, 20 agencies, it's all over. Questions. You don't have a lot of time, like ICS is wonderful. It's the best system we come up with. ICS takes time to implement. Put together 4 branches, and then sub branches, and then divisions of the sub branches. You don't have that time in an active shooter situation. Like in Vegas, it never happened. There's never a primary collection point. There was never a secondary collection point. There was people scattered over a 12-block area, and it was just random. And there was only 2 hospitals. So that's the other thing too. You got to get. There's only so many surgeons per trauma center. So if the surgeons at the 2 closest trauma centers are already doing surgery, and you bring another person there, you just kill them. They're going to bleed to death. They got to go to an even farther trauma center. You got to go to where they can have surgery the fastest. All right. Any questions?
Else really know around Vegas. So
just those 2.
Might be the next closest.
Okay, University Hospital. Then I can't think what the other. There's 2 level 1 trauma centers. University Hospital. I can't remember the name of the other one. And then that's it. Yeah, I believe Laughlin has surgeons, which isn't too far away. Does Boulder City have it? I didn't know Boulder City had a trauma center. Oh, Bullhead City.
They have a hospital, but I have no idea.
That's in Arizona, right? It's on the other side of the river.
I mean, it's a shared sort of.
Yeah, just on the other side of the river. It's hard. It's really, really hard because you guys
don't exist.
Well, no, they do. Like David Grant in Vacaville, but no, I don't think that. I mean, maybe. I don't know how that works. Like even getting back in the early 90s, we started using Coast Guard in heavy weather here. But it's hard because they don't have any of our frequencies. There's no communications and getting into completely different operational protocols. So when you bring those guys in, you have no idea what's going to happen and what they're going to do. And you have no communication with them. So it's really, really hard bringing the military in because it's so different. And the other thing too is the military is so well, I know you guys will laugh at this, but it's true. They are so well organized and tiered that it's got to go to the top. The top's got to prove it down and down and down. And sometimes it can take up to 72 hours to truly mobilize and get the military moving. That's like the same thing what's happening in Israel right now. Well, there hasn't been a whole lot going yet. Believe me, they're getting it all tiered and organized, and then they're just going to go. So, all right, key points. Remember, civilian is very different than military. What you do and when you do it will have profound income. My goodness, profound factors impact on whether the patients, how many people survive and how many people don't. And just because something is a good medicine and good idea doesn't mean that it's a good tactic and that good at that time. You have good medicine and bad tactics. 1 in 5 combat deaths, active shooter deaths are prevented. You bet. Questions? That's why we're doing this class. All right, key points. Care under fire, tactical field care, that's your primary collection point. Then getting them to a secondary collection point and getting them out of here. Any questions? Any questions? All right.
Hey, tell him they're clear to push up to us. We will cover fire. Hey, it's Caesar. Hey, you're under fire. Believe what you want. It's outside. Frank, you have to move up.
things out, what do you do when the medic gets shot?
Coming! Get off, man! I'm fucking in! Hey, good job! Good fish!
In the neck.
Go on! Get out! Come on. You good? Go, you go. You good? I'm in the corner! Corner! I'm in the corner! Wait! We need a medevac! No. Right, coming! Hey, where's the Yankee show? Cuz, are you alright, bro? Okay, bro. Hey, I'm fine. Hey, thanks fucking black off. Don't worry about it, right? That's his hand. Good. Oh, you can be alright, man. Hey, good. Hey, Brandon! Hey, ready to call that guy's out. I got it. What's going on? He's hitting the shoulder.
He's hitting the shoulder?
Yes.
All right, hey.
I got you, guys.
He needs to spin up and run. All right,
I got
run
you.
off. All right,
So his feet that in. What's going in? Trying to get a break for his weight.
Oh my God. What are you doing? I'm the drunk fucking bomb. Hey, fucking hit in the head. I'll fucking watch him, bro. Go be funny.
All right, so you guys want to take like a 10 or 15 minute break before we get to the second slideshow? Otherwise, I'll just keep talking. All right, be back at 5 minutes to 10. We're already an hour and a half. Yeah. It's the doors. Don't bang. Okay, let's. There's not be a broken one. Yeah, you look tired. Devin was out partying last night.
You know he was. Look at him. He's that type.
Brian?
He's out on the bottom of tequila last night.
I came there like almost 2 years ago.
I told
There was
you.
like a shooting in Greyhound, on the Greyhound
And then
bus station. They killed a guy.
by
Or
8,
something.
9 p.m. Which I had a big
You know, like here, there's like a Greyhound.
Hearing weed.
Hearing weed. And then there was something.
I shot him in the field.
Oh, yeah. You no. Oh, who's it? Yeah, and what was it happening with him? Like he was
a bit sad.
And then, like, Ross, like the lawyer, also his son,
most, older guy.
Yeah.
He's a lawyer.
I wanted to play some video games. I haven't seen the cults like all of them.
Or college and United States.
No, I did a terrible idea. I turned off my grade school. It was satire security and Sea of Thieves. And I haven't played.
I love it. Sea of Thieves is fucking awesome.
It is. I like the
situations. Yeah, it's just something.
They are the same.
Yeah.
It's all like
You don't know if people are
I like
gonna do
that.
that. Well, we had one on Music Greyhound. We had a Christmas Eve one year. We had a guy. Just south of Castella. Went crazy on a Greyhound, but stabbed it. Yeah, Christmas Eve on a Greyhound.
So then I go play.
No.
Yeah.
The bus driver stopped and sending us in the canyon. It's dark on I-5. In the middle of, nowhere to go. And
We get our loose shit on.
Stabbed a pregnant lady, stabbed a child, and I want to say another guy tackled him and was disabled. He stabbed the guy that tackled him, but the other guy was able to get the knife and disable the stabber by trauma. Just smashed his head until they knocked him unconscious. Yeah. We had 4 patients on the Greyhound Christmas Eve.
There's a great case study on TCCC at 6th grade time.
Yeah.
And every time they would show, so they go over this case study. I don't know,
Send it to me.
Video. I can't find it. All I can find is the pictures. So what happened was November 9th, 2000. Yeah. Marines were going into the flats. One guy gets hit in the street. Another Marine goes out, another Marine goes out to go get them. He gets shot. They kill like 4 or 5 Marines.
My God.
And there was a whole case study throughout the military. Why they show you why it's important to continue to fight before you go.
Good patience.
Yeah.
Well, that's that thing of the best defense is a good offense and eliminate the threat.
And then this was, I remember they'd show this in every class. It was great. No.
Besides
If you can get it to me, get it to me.
I'll see if I can find one.
Yeah, because if you're getting more people shot, then you just doubled, tripled, quadrupled.
Yeah, there was like 5 Marines there. Or maybe not all dead, but God.
At the recoil, they make it easy. So you plug this thing into your.
Oh,
so
yeah.
you're shooting just straight, and it's just like unfair. Get people running SM or LMG.
Having fun.
Recoil that shoot up the wall.
Right.
And then
Brian TNT class, he's supposed to be fun.
It is straight. Yeah, it's too hot.
It went from like getting like 60 to 80 degrees in like 5 minutes.
I know.
It got so hot.
It's real hot.
They just run the heat 24/7.
I don't know how. This is. This was supposed to be a state of the art high tech building when it was built.
Those things
Well, they're supposed to get rid of the floors are heated. Are they? Yeah. And that we requested that for the breakout room so that because we do classes in the winter, we have people lying on floors. So floors are heated. As a matter of fact, the carpet isn't even attached. The carpet's free floating because the concrete expands and contracts. And I think the heated floors along with the HVAC together is what's killing us.
It's 78 degrees.
I think that convective heat comes up from the floor. Just
roast
just roast. Yeah. And we that was one of the big requests we had.
Heated floors. I thought that was an Alturas thing. Here we are.
Here. Yeah. And it was done. This building was built for EMS. So this class, this became the permanent for this building was built for. And it's been probably 15 years. Early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s. No, man, because In 2004, I was still teaching over at iTech 19, so.
Did they start their program with this building or?
No. Dude, I took EMT here at COS.
Oh, you did? In the
Yeah.
80s?
In the 80s, in iTech 19, and when I started teaching, and I said I'd never teach this class, I used to only teach fire department. But when
Here you are.
Yeah. So in spring of 2004, they had literally no one who was going to teach this class. And I didn't feel I had the time for it, which I truly don't. And so I agreed to do it one semester until they could find someone to do it. And the community support I got from the fire departments and the ambulance and stuff like that was just fun, freaking believe. There was before it was like one instructor, they had no help, they couldn't even pay someone to come help them. And then
Like doctor wise?
yeah. And I started doing this and we started just volunteering to come in to help. And it just worked and then not because we were well, no, we were improving things so rapidly. Yeah. It's such a good team. It's hard. So yeah, we don't. So I started teaching in the same room that I had taken within 20 years. And now this is my 40th semester in a row, 41st semester in a row. Teaching this.
How many years?
This is one semester a year. I started teaching EMT refresher in 92, but it wasn't until 2004 that I started teaching this class regularly. It's one of this is year 20.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's the 40th semester.
So you guys are running this program twice a year.
It's right. I do that for once a year. Then they're still doing the classes that I used to do. They do one of the cloud, one of net, and one of Yreka. Why Yreka one for this semester got canceled? There's only 4 people.
So do they still use this building over here for that, or just
Not for EMS, I don't know what they do with it. Probably well, they
right there on the left? So what do they do with those emergency vehicles?
So we use those for paramedic.
Oh,
I haven't incorporated into this class yet. But paramedic, Kirk and I,
smart.
drive around and they could start IVs in the back of the ambulance so they could learn how to do it.
Yeah, well, you want that.
And that's what we
road.
Yeah. So we take them all the way out to the fire tower, back on College Avenue, and come back.
Oh,
Yeah.
out that way sucks.
And Kirk and I are not nice about it either. We're a jacked up 19-year-old driving around full of adrenaline.
I was amazed at, so we went through a construction zone when I was on that ride with Landon, and he freaking set that IV right in the middle of the construction zone. The ambulance was don't. Yeah. I was just looking at him like, did you just do that on the first ride? Like, every time. I'm like, God damn, dude. Connie was freaking good.
Casey and Connie look a lot alike. They got the same build and the same personality, and there's a lot of similarities. But Connie's born and raised Mount Shasta, Casey's Pennsylvania.
That's a big difference.
He's very good. Damn good paramedic. We're lucky to have her. She's here because her husband is a hot shot.
Yeah.
Got transferred to Salmon River Hot Shots.
Oh, right on.
So that's how she ended up here. And then just her and the baby at home, and she was really looking for something to do. So she was working for us 3 days a week. Just so she had something to do.
She has such a cute kid.
Yeah, he is.
We picked him up last Monday.
In about 12 years, he's going to be a junior high heartbreaker.
Yep. Yep. Definitely. That is an adorable child.
What? I don't even want to know shit.
Huh? Oh. Born and raised us. It's the last year of property and that's like. I've only lived in Mount Shasta since '97. Probably before most of you were born. Yeah, I even made a medical last night in Dunsmere. I was first on scene. I don't think there's an incident. I don't think we cut an incident for it. I think it was truly a secret squirrel. Because yeah, when I said we need to roll full dispatch on this, it was like absolutely not going to happen. It's like, okay, I'll do my best. It was a allergic reaction on this one smell closed. So I had a made it work. The patient and the patient's family said absolutely not, we're not running full dispatch on this. Can't force people to do things. You just advise. You could be the best you that you can be.
So I go to school.
My youngest had a typical fractured 18 places. And she was screaming, I broke my leg. I said, stop being dramatic, your leg's not broken. And I went and took her boot off, and it was false motion with like that. And I was like, I'm calling an ambulance.
I got a little upset on
It's broken. And I got the whole thing on high def video. I brought in Dr. Shipman goes, well, you have neck injury. She's like, yeah, here. And I broke down frame by frame, and you actually watch the leg crumple. And he's like, shut it off, shut it off.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah.
No. No, but you know, sometimes.
Yeah.
Now I've got this one. Solid. You know.
Oh, yeah. And get surgery. Like,
so
I didn't want to get surgery.
Full time.
Gibson's mountain bike. So this actually was supposed to be a match.
Everyone
at least 2 times. Good guy. I like her. Something usually no freeze away.
Yeah. I broke
Gibson. We may be able to put it in. So the drill that was here and the slope level.
You go to the handlebar, you know it's gonna give.
Yeah.
With OES, yeah, it's just kind of
you just get a little root that belongs there.
Because like everything else, you can only train and drill the people. And the other problem we had to do with school shooting was letting schools do it. So COS, it took us convincing to let them do it. Not Shasta High, we had not even our team. So we had to use Golden Eagle turns all over it. Because I would have sat down and said, hey, we need kids. Really different. Why High? So one place to get kids.
They might now.
I'm hoping the culture's changing, and like I said, having Robert as chief, I think because it was originally supposed to be 4th of July. We were gonna do an active shooter 4th of July. Atop the outside, which is doable, or the dress. What do we call it? Devlin's got easy access to the roof. Yeah. But anyway, that's what originally was going to be. So we ended up having to, but also the guy that was OES, county OES, yeah, Brown was fantastic.
He disconnected brakes.
So now Roslyn got there. Brian seems to do a good job. I don't know. He's also extremely busy because the world has changed so much. I don't know if Brian has the ability with time slots to get that done. We can break it up. But it's a county, if you want to do one in Mount Shasta, if you can get Corey and Robert together, I will throw in 300% whatever I can do to make it happen. Because at some point, well, we just had this here. At some point, it's going to happen. And I never realized, well, actually, so there's been one since then, but it was much smaller. We did one at Dunsmore High about 4 years ago. And same thing, it went real well, not near the scope of this one. Well, like things I'd never realized, if we ever get invaded or attacked, the place I'm going is Dunsmore High School. It's a fortress, and I grew up there. I went to high school there for 4 years. Amazingly, I got out in under 4 years. I didn't have to go 6 like everyone told me I was going to have to go. But I never realized until we did the active shooter there that it's a complete fortress. You've got, it sits inside of a plowed out hillside. It's a 4-story structure with the 4th floor's got windows all the way across. There's only one way in, one way out, and you've got the high ground to kill anyone that's going to try to go in and out of that place. I never realized it until we did the drill there, and I was like, oh my God. That what? Well, I think after that drill, Ray Keller was like, we're making some changes. Right. Dunsmore's always been ahead of the rest of the county because we're not in the union. No credit, but it doesn't matter. But you want to know something? It doesn't matter. You still know, right? You be the best you can be, and that's what Dunsmore does. They're not part of the union. They don't join other districts. They do their thing, and they do it the best they can do, and that's why it's always been above everybody else. So anyway.
Go on. Hey, Brian, are you talking about the school shooting drill?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
You're there? Yeah. So that. That's definitely. I learned a ton there. Like I said, I never realized because high school was and I went to high school there for 4 years. I never had any idea, I never realized that I didn't say it's actually the only fortress that's a better fortress in this county. Yeah. Captain Jack Stronghold. You know, what is this teaching in schools? Captain Jack Stronghold 12. 12 Modoc Indians held off 1,000 U.S. soldiers for 6 months. Yeah, here in Siskiyou County. The only way they finally got him was the Army Corps of Engineers drained Tule Lake. He went in the backside and got him. That's how they finally got him. But the fortress, it's a lava tube. Yeah, it's caves. It's a series of caves and natural lava rock formations that make a perfect fortress. And they murdered Captain Jack murdered a U.S. general, unarmed general in a peace talk. And then Canby. There's actually a town in Modoc named after Canby. And then they fled to Captain Jack's stronghold. And you can go to it today. You can still go to it. It's pretty. It's right outside Lava Beds National Monument. Outside of Tule Lake. They've made movies about it. There's actually movies about Captain Jack. It is. I think South County is more beautiful. I'm prejudiced.
What happened here?
But what's the name of the movie? I don't know the name of the movie. I've seen it though. It was made in like the 50s. There's more than one movie about Captain Jack. They hung Captain Jack downtown Wairika. And then his other soldiers, they all ended up on Alcatraz as lieutenants and stuff, right? Yeah. Captain Jack. No, that's not the right movie. It's Kurt Russell movie.
Because of the cannons.
It's called Drumbeat. Yes, and for the movie Drumbeat, it's set in
Siskiyou County, from the actual events of the MoDOT board. Made 1954. All right. So here we go. Civilian application of this.
Your goals: stop anyone else from getting shot. Save as many people as possible. Work with law enforcement and other agencies as a smooth, unhindered team to get as many injured patients to definitive care as soon as possible. Understand and follow the procedures of tactical EMS, how to remove a patient from a hot zone to a warm zone, and understand that perform the correct interventions at the correct time. The correct interventions at the correct time. Biggest goals are save preventable deaths, prevent additional categories, and get everyone back in quarters alive. Any questions? That's cool that you're at that active shooter drill. That was a good drill. A fantastic drill. I got lots of pictures. No. That would have been Tyler. Okay. Huh? Tyler Bree, yes. So, active shooter and violence events are happening at record pace. Thank you, Stephen King. Thank you, Mr. Bachman. So most of the incidents are over before first responders arrive at the scene, and that is true. Again, the only active shooter I've ever personally been on is 2 victims. The shooter was gone. He actually, I was staged and apparently went right past me about a half block away, but his gun had jammed, so he was running, trying to get away. And we only have 1 officer on duty. Same thing in small areas like this, you got 1 officer per town, if that. So you have 1 officer to secure the scene with multiple victims down. So there's more coming, but it takes time. It's not like in the cities where you can throw a rock and hit a cop. This is a rural area. All right, any questions? So usually law enforcement resources will take the initial action to try to eliminate the threat. They'll try to localize it, contain it, and eliminate it if possible. EMS resource should stage until law enforcement is ready to bring them in. Next, treat the wounded. If possible, and if you have the manpower, should work with law enforcement, set up a unified command with EMS, fire, and law enforcement. Tactical EMS support are not a typical resource. It's not a typical group. So it's not going to be a regular group, team-wise. You're gonna have to put it together with what you have available and who you have available, and what equipment there is available. Questions? Again, planning and interagency training. If at all possible, the more you prepare and the more you train, the better your tools, the better the chance of success you're going to have. Better trained and equipped police personnel escorted in by law enforcement will have the lowest mitigated risk. Questions? Again, SQ triage, stop the bleeding, get them out. Questions? So, you got to perform the correct intervention at the correct time. The correct intervention at the wrong time will create more casualties and lower the effectiveness of your team. I know that's like the 10th time I've said that. It's like an infomercial. 1-800-CARS for kids. More times I say it, more times you'll know it. Questions? Correct interventions at the correct time. 60% of preventable deaths from hemorrhage. 3rd from tension pneumothorax, 6% from air. This is the updated stats. Any questions? Here's your latest breakdown of stats. The red ones are the ones that are preventable deaths. Where if you do the right intervention at the right time, you have a chance to save this kid. A chance.
Brian, what does KIA?
Killed in action. Any questions? So what affects this? People still shooting. Limitation of equipment. We're gonna bring in, I gotta tell you, if I ever have to go in, which I'm probably not, because I'm probably gonna do medical field operations on these from now on. Unless it's something like tomorrow night, we're on the first hit unit for a few hours. It's gonna be highly unlikely I'm going in, but if I do, I'll probably dropping my vest. Take the tourniquets out and I'll probably drop a vest. I'm gonna bring us little stuff in and move as fast as I can. And no, I'm not nearly as fast as I used to be. Still faster than most guys my age. For a big guy, I can move fast. Any questions? So the phases: care under fire, stopping the bleeding, making sure they're breathing, get the airway secured, getting them out. Those are your 3 phases. Preferably, tactical medical people will do this. Cass County has a full tactical medical team of paramedics, EMTs, SISQs working on it. Preferably, armed officers that are trained to get EMTs will go in, get these people out, bring them to you. You're at a primary collection point. If not, then they're going to have to bring you in. One person with a tourniquet and direct this. Any questions? And an inclusive dressing. Probably be good for the national seal. There's no second chest when you throw the seal on it. Go. Any questions? So after there's no longer hostile fire or threat of hostile fire, hostile fire, or you've got the primary collection point, then you can do the rest. And actually, all they want to do at the primary collection point is secure the airway, make sure the pneumo is taken care of. Then the rest that can be done at the secondary collection point during transfer. Time to evacuate, it's going to depend on the incident. Completely different incidents in completely different places. Any questions? Stage 3 is once you get them out again. Use whatever you got to use. You don't have to wait for ambulance to get there. Get them out of there. If you got a radio flyer wagon with people that can drag it, use it. Patrol cars, rescue squads, engines. You want to know something? Behind the water tank of an engine is one of the best places to hide from gunfire. Bullets don't go through 500 gallons of water. So it's way down. Water displaces energy better than anything else out there. One of the best things. Yeah. Well, I don't say don't ever do this, but jumped off the top of the trestle and lake it. I mean, if you hit ground, you're dead. Get water, displaces it, displaces the energy, you survive. As long as you don't do it directly over the posts, they go out, which was the stupidest engineering design I've ever seen in my life. Which we have had fails there. People who jump, the water's only 3 feet deep. If you notice when the chest length is low, those come out. Trestle support structures. And also have rebar sheet. Yeah, don't want to jump on top. But anyway, water displaces. And also generally, there's a pump there too. The pump's got lots of steel pipe inside of it. Engine block is good too.
It's the only spot that will stop the bullet. Bullet will go right through the car and stuff underneath the side. Bounce off the pavement.
Come up. Even a Vega with an aluminum engine block. I said even a Vega with an aluminum engine block would still be better. My dad had a Vega still to make fun of the aluminum engines. That was a bad idea. That is. Yeah, when the Vega came out, that was like one of the first ones. Any questions about remembering time is crucial? All right. Best medicine, we were talking about at break time, shooting back. That said, pretty much anywhere that you're working in EMS, you're not going to allow to have it. You got that somebody else to shoot back. Yes.
What weapons have they already?
SSV region, none. Unless you're a supervisor and there's a written plan for the supervisor to carry a weapon. You're not even allowed to have mace. Or a taser. Or an A. Well, you could have a seatbelt cover. And like for me as a supervisor, for seat safety, I have bear spray, but it's not for humans.
Right.
It's not. I've never used it on one.
Yeah.
What about like I've heard stories I forgot to take it off.
Oven cleaner?
Oh, that one.
Really? I've always preferred hairspray with a lighter. What?
So, like, I always carry a knife on me, not to this class, since school.
For seatbelt cutting?
Yeah, for seatbelt cutting, but it's just like a normal knife.
Right, for seatbelts. Right.
So we can just claim.
No, it's for seatbelts. It's not claiming. That's what it's for. Well, that's a seatbelt cutter. But if you don't have a seatbelt cutter, you should probably have a knife to cut seatbelts. Just like if you have a flare gun in case you get lost in the woods, you know, you take a wrong turn, you're out of gas with a flat tire, you got a flare gun. I don't know if everybody's seen that video of the carjacking with the flare guns. That's awesome.
Shoots him with a flare gun.
Point blank. That doesn't go out.
No, oh hell no. That's gonna hurt.
Yeah, magnesium. 2 birds up. So, come on, Amazon. Right. Flare guns, $39 with 4 rounds. Sold. Perfectly legal to carry.
You have a holster with a flare gun.
Well, I used to. What I used to keep in my Jeep was roadside flares. Somebody ever reaches in to try to carjack your roadside flare, get them out of your window really, really fast. Highly effective. Huh? Never happens. I don't put myself in those situations anymore. I don't go drive out in the woods in the middle of the night anymore. Too old, too tired.
Dude, and those flare guns are 12 gauges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that we're clear. So that we're clear. I'm not supporting or even recommending.
No, this is for an emergency.
This is for an emergency if you are stuck.
Absolutely.
So someone knows it's a signal for help.
Coast Guard agrees.
Yes. All right. Wounded operators. This is a big deal. If you have an officer that has been shot, the first thing that needs to be done is they have to be disarmed. If they lose consciousness or become altered and they are armed, bad things can happen. You don't keep the gun. You have to get the gun to another officer. But they need to be disarmed. Any questions? If you get hit, tourniquet yourself. You have to get yourself taken care of first. You cannot help anyone else, and you're going to become another victim if you are hit. Critically important. Any questions? As you saw in the video at the beginning of this, when the medic gets hit, that's very bad.
Right, you don't have it. If it's shot, that fight goes through.
Absolutely. Like I said, in the cases I've been on, I know exactly what you're talking about. Actually, maybe not, because they didn't kill him. Most of the time, like I said, when they've taken out a shooter, they've got tourniquets on long before I get there. By the time I come in, they've already taken them out and they've double tourniqueted. Yes.
So it's a really cool video like this, where it was just the like shots used for they are built in on one hand still fire.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome, and they're on both legs and high already.
Wow. That's very awesome. Yeah, if you can see it, if you get it, send it to me. I'm always happy to improve these classes every semester. So I think if you find that one about the pollution, absolutely send it. Control of hemorrhage is the most essential. People can die in 3 to 5 minutes. Questions? Leading cause of death is hemorrhage. It's preventable. Combat action tourniquets save lives. Very important to have it pretty set up because again, your fine motor, when you get high adrenaline, it's going to go. You're going to go back to strictly what you've trained on and what your body already knows how to do from practice and repetition, practice and repetition. I know people were getting angry yesterday because they're getting failed on little bullshit stuff. That little bullshit stuff you're getting failed on makes you do it again and again and again until you don't have to even do that little bullshit stuff. Then when it's an emergency and you are fully loaded with full fight or flight, you're still able to perform under pressure. All right, tourniquets. You should have multiple combat action tourniquets with you and on your vehicles. Stop the bleed kits are standard of care. Any questions? There she is. That is the standard of care. High up on the extremity as possible. Armpit, groin. Huh? What? Simulate the alien computers. All right, proper cap preparation. I know we probably already saw this.
Today's video is going to be both short and simultaneously very important. I want to show you guys how to fold and stage a cat tourniquet the right way and how to fold and stage a tourniquet the wrong way. So believe it or not, how you fold and stage your tourniquets is a really big deal, and it can be the difference between life or death in a patient you're applying this to or yourself. So today I want to go through how to stage these, how to fold these, and then also what are some of the main mistakes I've seen people doing and why we want to avoid them. So there are two main ways you can fold a tourniquet, and both ones work fine. It's just kind of your preference and how you have to store these. So the first way to fold a tourniquet, and this is kind of the classic way that you'll see on North American Rescue's website, is you have the tourniquet in front, the windlass up and down inside this bracket, the time strip pulled off to the side, and then in the back, it can just open like that, and you can put that around an extremity really fast. So I'll show you how to do this really quick. To fold this method, if you take the tourniquet and you've completely taken out the strap and everything, all you have to do is you feed the red tip through the first buckle, and you might have to play around with how big you make this initial loop, but you just play with it and figure out what works for you and what size it needs to be. So you pull it through the loop to a point, and then you fold it back on itself. As you do that, and you have this loop here, I'm going to take this end, and I'm going to fold this under the tourniquet about the length of this plastic portion to the buckle, and I'm going to fold this portion back on itself. So I take the windlass, put it in the bracket, make sure the time strip's pulled back. So then you have a nice little package here, and when you're ready to deploy it, it can come right off. You can pull this red tab and tighten it around an extremity really fast, and then tighten the windlass. So this is kind of the classic way to fold a tourniquet, and probably the most common, I'd say. Now, one of my friends who is a 68 whiskey for an infantry unit, he taught me this method, and this is how he was taught to fold cat tourniquets, and there are some very specific reasons for it. So right off the bat, it looks pretty similar. The front is staged identically. But when you come to the back and you open it up, you actually have two loops inside of there, and this is barely attached to the tourniquet. So to fold it in this method, you pull everything out, and then you're going to take this first loop and you're going to bring it up to that buckle and fold it back down on itself. Then you do the same thing, and you take the back end and you fold it to the top of that buckle and fold it down. And then you take the last section and you bring it up, and you're going to take it through this buckle only slightly and fold it back over. Now this offers a couple advantages to the first version I showed you. For one, this is already a lot bigger. So if you need to put this around a really big leg, you can open this up quite a lot more. The second thing this allows you to have is you don't have much Velcro attaching this. So you can really quick pop this out, take it off if you need to put it on a leg, or just take it off and tighten it really fast. The other advantage this gives you is while it's in that form factor, if you have to put this tourniquet in a enclosed pocket, either on the shoulder of your combat shirt or in a cargo pocket, you can take this red tip and this can actually hang outside of your pocket. So people around you know that you have a tourniquet on. Obviously, this is only going to be a benefit if you work around people that actually know bleeding control and how to apply a tourniquet, such as military law enforcement. So probably a little bit less so for civilian use because people aren't going to know what that means. But if you have a unit and you've all decided that this is how you're going to store your tourniquets, it will be advantageous to you. Now that I've shown you the right ways to stage tourniquets, I want to show you some of the big problems I've seen and talk about why these are issues. So the first thing I see a lot of is people get a tourniquet and they pull it tight to store it. So they have a loop through here, they pull it tight, and then they just accordion fold the rest of the tourniquet back on there. At first glance, this looks very similar to how it was staged earlier, except that if you need to put this on, you have nothing. You have a very small opening to get in there. You've got this really long tail. So putting this on your arm or your leg is going to be a lot harder than if you could just open it and have it the correct width. So this is the first mistake I see people make a lot. The second most common mistake I see, and I think a problem that's a pretty big deal, is having the time strip of your tourniquet deployed over your windlass. This is a big problem because the first thing you lose when you're under stress, and I guarantee you if you're applying a cat tourniquet, you are under stress, is your fine motor skills. And trying to grab this tab right here and peel it off Velcro with just your two fingers, That is the definition of a fine motor skill. So you've taken the tourniquet, you've applied it on the arm, you've tightened it up as much as you can, and now you're trying to move the windlass, and you have to peel that back, push it over, tighten the windlass, and then redeploy it. That's a pretty big time sink, and it could be the difference between life or death. And there's really no reason to store your tourniquet like this. I know people think it looks a lot cleaner on their belts, but really that doesn't matter. Just pull this time tab over, fold it back on the tourniquet, and that'll just stay out of the way. A lot of companies are making tourniquet holders that actually keep this Velcro from tearing at your uniform. There's little shirt savers on the side, so you don't have to worry about this hard Velcro destroying your uniform or rubbing against your skin. That's pretty much all I got for this video. If you have any questions about anything I covered today, please leave them in the comments down below. I'm leaving for vacation tomorrow, but I've pre-filmed a couple videos that I'm going to be releasing through the holiday season. I've got some gear reviews coming up, so if you need some help on a gift, maybe this will point you in the right direction. But like always, I appreciate all of your support, and I will see you next week.
I just looked up that movie Drumbeat that actually, yes, it's Captain Jack is the character from Tule Lake, but it has nothing to do with the assassination of General Canby. So it's like they robbed a stagecoach. So it's not the same story. It's like they took a historical figure and then made a completely fictional movie out of it. So don't know if you want to waste your time with that.
Hey guys, Horace here, and I'm going to be doing a video on the cat tourniquet right now. I said in my IFAC video, you know, this is a very important piece of your first aid. So I'm going to be going over how and when you should be using a tourniquet, or in this case, a cat tourniquet. So check it out. Okay, so let's talk about when you should be using a combat application tourniquet, or a tourniquet at all, for that matter. You're going to use a tourniquet as a last resort. You're not going to be using this if you're cutting an apple in your kitchen and you get a cut on your finger or something. All right, you're going to be using the tourniquet only as a last resort if the bleeding is at an excess of such that you're in danger of losing your life, or casualties in danger of losing their life. Caveat on that. It does change a little bit if you're in a combat environment, but that's not what we're not going to be getting into that right now. So that's when you should be using a tourniquet. And there's lots of other ways that you can mitigate bleeding before you go to the tourniquet. Again, tourniquet last resort, because when you do use tourniquet, you have to really monitor how long the tourniquet's on a limb, because you actually put that limb at risk. You know, you can lose it if you don't know what you're doing, or you have it on there too long, or you don't get to a medical treatment facility in time. So keep that in mind, last resort. All right, so first of all, let's just go over the tourniquet real quick and all the pieces and parts of it before we get into applying it. So it's made up of a first part would be, you know, the restricting band. Basically just a band here with a hook and loop or Velcro, and it's adjustable depending on what part of the body you're trying to put it on. You'll be adjusting it through this loop right here, this buckle, and depending on where you're going to apply the tourniquet will determine if you're going to put it through both buckles or just one. If you're going to go on the leg, what you'll be doing is running it through here and then on this side. If you're just doing it above the arm, you just go through one side, it'll be fine. The reason why you do that is because of the body thickness, and then when you're trying to transport or move around in casualty, it could loosen up the tourniquet, which you definitely do not want. All right, so this part right here, this is called the windlass stick. This will be the windlass clip right here and your windlass strap. All right, so that's basically all it is. So now I'm going to show you how to put this on. I don't have a volunteer here, so I'll be putting it on myself. And there won't be much difference. You know, you should definitely know how to put it on yourself too. So alrighty. So first thing you're gonna do when you're applying tourniquet, you're gonna make sure you don't apply the tourniquet directly on the wound or fracture. Okay, so you're gonna go above it. You're gonna go between the wound and the torso. So for best results, let's say I have a wound here on my leg. You're gonna go ahead and place it above the knee, or if it's on your arm, above the elbow for maximum effectiveness. All right. So the way you're gonna do this, you're gonna go ahead and pull this restricting band up because it's on your leg, on my leg. I'm gonna go through both buckles here, both slots in the buckles. Just like so. All right. You're gonna pull that tight. I'm gonna wrap the rest of this around, and it's just gonna adhere to itself. Right over here. It's gonna go right back to itself. It's Velcro, nothing loose. All right. Go ahead and remove this, open up this windlass strap. Go ahead and get a little tuck so it stays out of the way. Then you're gonna start twisting this windlass, all right, this stick. You're gonna start twisting. All right, and it's gonna start tightening up on that leg or limb. Okay, so when do you stop twisting? How do you know when you're good? You're gonna know you're good when you're gonna stop, you're gonna see the bleeding stop. All right. So the blood from an arterial bleed will be bright red in color. You'll see a difference. Okay, so every time you feel that the pulse, you'll be, you know, checking the pulse at the same time. You feel that heartbeat, boom, 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 boom. You're gonna see blood squirting right in rhythm with that heart. So you'll know it's tight enough when that bleeding stops. So yeah, you really got to crank down on it. You go to town. I mean, it's tourniquet. It's supposed to be uncomfortably tight. And if someone's in danger of losing their life, don't worry about putting it on too tight. All right, get that bugger on there. So after you get it on there, after you get the windlass tight enough, just stick the windlass rod right back in this windlass clip. This clip here, and then put the strap right on over it. All right, so you notice I put the tourniquet on over my clothing. You're gonna wanna do that. So especially if you're applying it to yourself, you're gonna wanna have this tourniquet out here in the open so that when somebody, when you're getting medical treatment from a hospital or a medic or something like that, you want this tourniquet out in the open where they can see it. So they know that, hey, you know, we gotta make sure we address this tourniquet so we don't lose everything from here on down. Very important, keep it out in the open. If you're putting a tourniquet on a casualty, someone else, go ahead and make a T with a Sharpie or even their blood right in their forehead. So it's nice out there open. When you get to another medical treatment facility, they say T for tourniquet right in the forehead, can't be missed. Also keeping this in view. So that's basically it on the cat tourniquet. You can write time on here. It's probably a good idea if you have, you know, if you're able to go and put the time on there. So we'll give the MTF or medical treatment facility an idea of when it went on and when it had to come on. So another thing to go real quick, don't loosen it yourself. You know, if you're loosening it up yourself, you're not properly trained, you can cause shock to yourself or to the casualty by loosening the tourniquet. So important, once it's on, get that person to a hospital. All right, guys, so that's how you do the cat tourniquet. If you see that I missed something or you got some more input, go ahead and comment below. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and until next time, later.
All right, so conventional litters may not be available. Consider carryalls, tarps, skeds, whatever it takes. Smoke shields also a good idea. Hard to shoot something you can't see. Or vehicles. Vehicle in front of you. Armored vehicles, even better. Any questions? Try to keep being shot. Very important. Try to keep the casualties from getting shot again. Don't worry about the airway till you get out of the hot zone. Stop any bleeding immediately using a cat tourniquet. Any questions? Eliminate the threat. Get yourself out of the area of threat. Then you can worry about your airway. Do the life-saving procedures. Then get them out to evacuation. Any questions? It's going to completely depend on the time. It's impossible to pre-plan these things. So what you can do, and we'll go over it at the end of this presentation before we go to lunch, I'll show you what you can do. So anybody ever been involved in pre-fire planning? Do you even know what it is? Yeah, pre-fire planning is you're not planning on how a building's going to burn and what you're going to do, but you make yourself familiar with where the hydrants are, where the escape points are, where the hazards inside the building are, what your access egresses are, what available potential resources you have to bring in depending on what you need for a given fire. Does that make sense? Well, I do what's called pre-event planning. What you do is you go in and you identify access and egress locations, available resources, or available potential resources, where your landing zones are, your primary collection points, secondary collection points. You have multiple ones because you never know what you're going to need depending on what the situation is. So that's how you prepare for these things. I'll give you an example once we're done with this. So in these situations, in all MCI situations, MCI has multiple casualty incidents. Unless it's a lightning strike, we do not do CPR. Those people die. Sorry, that's what you do. And if they're an armed patient with a weapon and they are altered, you have to disarm them. Any questions? This is where you do your airway breathing circulation that you've gotten them out of the initial fire. Any questions? Use whatever you have. All right. Jam, get them to a person that got a tension pneumo, get the pneumo decompressed. If it's an open, you guys can do Asherman seals. Any type of inclusive dressing with a vent, however it takes. Do not strap these people to boards. They are traumatic chest injuries. Questions? Tension pneumothorax is the #2 killer after hemorrhage. We've got to get them to someone that can decompress the chest. Questions? You guys don't need to know that. Aggressively look, strip, and try to find other bleeding sites. And, make sure you don't make hypothermic. We'll back up. Any questions? So run the first tourniquet on as high as we can. Second tourniquet should go above the proximal to wherever the wound is. Yes, it's okay to use 2 tourniquets. So what if it's not on a limb? That medic got shot at the beginning of the show. Try to get hemostatic dressing, and if you can get it directly to the site where the bleeding is. Questions? What if you don't have cat tourniquets for an extremity? What should you use? What's the next best thing?
Brooke mentioned using a blood pressure cuff.
Yeah, there's something better though.
Not a leather belt, but a tactical belt.
SWAT suits or
Really good.
Squares on it. Yeah, you know you have enough pressure for a tourniquet.
I haven't seen those.
They're like little.
Cool. I've never seen those. Israeli bandage is what I was going to suggest. That's the next closest thing to a tourniquet. They usually also has hemostatic in it too.
Rescue strap.
Huh?
A rescue strap.
Sure.
That would be a good idea.
Yeah, the old Vietnam ones. Yeah.
Most people do.
Well, you got something strong enough for it to be a windlass. That's the big thing is if you're gonna use a stick, you better make sure it's a damn strong stick. Hardwood, willow. Yeah.
Everybody's got one in their truck.
So will. Don't remove the dressing if bleeding's controlled. So you have time at the secondary collection point, splint, constantly reevaluate, and make sure that you have that airway secured. Stage 3, get them to a secondary collection point. We're gonna have ambulances and helicopters waiting. Get them out of there. We're going to go over mass within the next 2 weeks because this class is over in 2 weeks. We're going to go over mass casualty incidents and how you do that, which may or may not be shootings. Usually they're bus crashes, plane crashes, chlorine leaks, dumping methamphetamine sodium into a river, things like that. There's 3 categories of patients in an active shooter situation. There are people who are going to live regardless. There are people who are going to die regardless. And there are people who will die from preventable deaths unless you do the right thing at the right time. The right thing. Any questions? Higher point of what we've been doing for the last 3 hours. It's not people that are dead. Where your actions will make sense. Any questions? We're not teaching SSV because this is a national registry class. However, no matter where you're at, there will probably be a control facility. If there are more patients than the local trauma facility can handle, you'll have to go to a control facility for your destinations. They'll have a software system where you give them the location of where you're at, the total number of patients, and then you triage them using the MCI system. They will give you the destinations to get those people into surgery the fastest way possible. They'll have the ability through a software network to contact every trauma center in the region, find out how many surgery teams are available, and what's the closest to your area. Any questions? Incident command system, if at all possible. However, in the first few minutes, that's probably not going to have time to be deployed and reached out. Remember, these are primary law enforcement event, and in the perfect world, law enforcement will have already eliminated the threat before you get there. Remember, you're still going to stage until they are deciding that they're going to bring you in. You do not just go in because you're assuming that you're going to get brought in by law enforcement. Coordinate with law enforcement first and see if you can go in and get some. Make sense? Same thing. You want to keep as many people as you can out in the secondary collection point. You want the fewest number of people in the primary collection point. If it's a moving active shooter event, there's a great chance that active shooter is going to move to where the first responders are. You don't want that. There should also be a part of the unified command. There should also be a universal distress signal word. Name whatever you want, but everybody's got to know it. Questions? Dress code. What they call it. Somebody says chicken, start screaming chicken, chicken, chicken. That's your dress code, and everybody knows something's gone sideways. Any questions? Consider additional devices and hazards. The other thing too, being if you're going to be working in this area, rural area, you also have to remember about 2/3 of the private citizens are also armed. If the children are in danger or the family members are in danger, they're going to arrive armed. Be prepared. They're probably not looking to shoot you, but there is an excellent chance to crossfire.
Scared people do stupid.
It's the new. Any questions? Scoop and run. Don't bring gurneys. They're too big and they're too cumbersome. Scoop and run. Drag. Carry and drag. Any questions? Casualty collection points. You have a primary and a secondary. The primary is where you can get people out to that's somewhat safe. Secondary is going to be an area that's completely safe that you can land helicopters and have lots of ambulances and resources staged. Any questions? Theater, the Dark Knight shooting. Can't remember what town it was in. It was in Colorado. It was outside of Denver. I can't remember which one of the suburbs. That one, they had to have 4 different primary collection points. Same thing. People went out all 4 exits. So that IC got there. And he was trying to get everyone collected into one area for a primary. Finally, he said, screw it. And what he did was he just set up 4 different branches as primary collection points because there's so many people and they'd all gone so many different directions, not unlike Vegas. Not near the scope of that or the size of it. So that's what he ended up doing was he ended up having to adapt and overcome. So he just made 4 primary collection points. And there never was really a secondary. They just had the ambulances coming into those 4 points and taking people away. Any questions? Don't get hurt. Don't get shot. It's more important than anything else. Don't make more victims. Stop the bleeding. Do the correct intervention at the correct time. Once the area's been cleared, then we can start bringing in non-tactical people. Then the whole system changes. Any questions? If they can walk and run, have them walk and run. That's like that first video we showed you in Afghanistan. It's like, Zulu, can you walk? Yes, I can. Go. Same thing with the medic. Got shot in the neck. They got him to get up and run to that helicopter. Got him in the medevac ship and flew off. Poor little dog wanted to go for a ride in the helicopter with him. So uncool. Any questions? So your primary collection point in the warm zone, again, limited number of people. And you should have someone standing guard if possible. You may not have that in a rural area. Well, law enforcement may be out limiting the threat. Don't forget to prevent hypothermia. If they're wet clothing, remove the wet clothing, put them dry, warm blankets. Any questions? No, not you guys triage yet, but we will. There's multiple patients you have to go to triage. All right, so that's a very long video. You guys will be assigned to watch it. All right, so to give you an example of what I was talking about. So, for instance, let's go. A lot of these I don't have done, but here is a pre-incident plan. So you put it in, describe what it is. General student population about 300, staff about 25, address, phone number, what it looks like going in, what your overhead view of it looks like. What's your potential, if you have a question. Potential issues. Look at your potential available ground ambulance resources and how far away they are. Potential first responders agencies. Potential air ambulance resources and their flight time to get there. Then your rescue helicopters. Difference between an air ambulance and a rescue helicopter. An air ambulance has 2 advanced life support personnel. A rescue copter only has 1. The primary function is not medical, it's law enforcement or firefighting. Then the access routes, the map on Appendix C. Your egress routes, how to get out, how to get in, how to get out. You got to have multiple access routes and know what they are, because a lot of times they may not be accessible depending on what's going on. Same thing with egress. Then a list of the primary patient collection points. Where to be thinking about potential sites you could use as the primary collection points. Primary, secondary collection points. Then go over potential landing zones. Potential weather hazards, potential other hazards. Then you go into your appendixes. Be able to see exactly what you're talking about. Next appendix. Third one. These ones are the different routes. The routes colored so people can understand that. And then your destination facilities, what level, what type of trauma surgeries and surgeons, and how far away each one of them are. Listen that. So again, this is not something that you pull out when there's an active shooter. This is something like you put together as an agency. You distribute to all your people. You have your people look at it at least once every couple months. Or if you know there's a big event coming, like for instance the IAM pageant or 4th of July celebration, you put it out, make sure everyone's on the same page for the 4th of July celebration. Show all those things. Any questions? All right, why don't you guys go to lunch, come back at noon, and we'll start advanced life support set up as a team. How to be part of the team integration with advanced life support or something like that.